Good afternoon, or morning, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Encrypted Connections. I am your host, Kyle. Happy Wednesday, everybody, right? Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday, correct? Yes? Okay, it's Wednesday. I always get my days mixed up. They all just blend together. Once you hit my age, it doesn't matter. Every day's the same. Welcome, guys. I'm so thrilled for this episode, and I know you guys are too. You're in for a treat. You really are. And I'm so happy that Harlem's here. It's we had Harlem on the show months back, and when I heard about him, 16-year-old kid, I was like I got to have this guy on the show. Anytime that there's a young man or woman who is interested in this subject, I just get excited. And so uh, we had Harlem on, and Harlem was impressive as all get out, and kudos to him for what he's doing. And then I heard about Daniel. I said, okay, we got to have this kid on the show. And it's you're just I'm gonna let him tell it, but let me say hello to all you guys first before we bring him in. Um, who's here today, this afternoon? Harlem, Rev, what's going on, guys? Thank you for being here. Hello, Hope. Becky, welcome. Brother Ben, how are you, buddy? Good to see you, man. Me and Ben just chatted this yesterday. Yes, we chatted yesterday. Jody, welcome. Mikey, what's up? Long Island Bigfoot, what's up? Sharon, hello. And did I miss anybody? I know that it's still early for a lot of people. Some people are probably still at work because over here on the East Coast, it's 3 p.m. And then I don't think Kyle knows how to use headphones. You're funny. I have a problem. Like, I can't wear them on both of my ears because then I feel like I can't hear anything that's going on around me, and that freaks me out. Like, I need to be able to hear if there's, something, a noise in the background, or if somebody's potentially trying to come in the house that's not supposed to be. I know these are all things that normally won't happen, but that's how I think. I need to be able to hear with this ear what's going on out here, and then I can listen to what's going on here with this one. So I do know how to use them. I just don't use them properly. Hope is at work. Don't tell anybody. Everybody go call her job. Make sure that they know that she's watching a podcast while she's supposed to be working. Shame on you. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's still early here. So I knew that there wasn't going to be as many people as we usually have because most people are still working, especially on the West Coast. It's what's 3 here. So that means it's 12 there. Literally the middle of the day, but most people will end up watching this later on, I'm sure. As I've gotten messages, people saying, look, I won't be able to be there for the live because I'll be at work, but I will absolutely watch later on. And I encourage you all to please, obviously during the show, write your comments and stuff. If you have questions for Daniel, please put them in caps. It's easier for me to see. And after the show, please comment. Give him your support. Let him know that we're all here, standing behind him with what he's doing. It's 2112 there. Where are you, Sharon? 2112. Isn't that like 1 a.m., right? Isn't that 1 a.m.? That's 9, 9, 9. I'm military time. I'm terrible with this stuff. Daniel's backstage going. It's going. It's 9, buddy. It's 9. How come he's 14 and I'm 43 and I don't know this yet? Oh boy, I told you he's impressive. Anyway, let's bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest tonight, Daniel. How are
Hi
you, pal?
guys.
Hey,
I'm very very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, we're just going to start with all the obvious things that are just so impressive about you and this whole thing. You are 14 years old, uh, and you are also autistic.
I am indeed, yeah.
Okay. So, I like I told you yesterday, I didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to make a big deal about it, but I do think it is sort of a big deal because it is inspirational, and you can be a giant inspiration to other people who have autism, right? It's
Yeah.
inspirational to me, that you're doing this at your age and that you are on the spectrum. Um, how what was it that got you interested in this subject?
So I was basically sat with my granddad, just watching a program Expedition Bigfoot, and I knew nothing about any sort of cryptid. It was just like an interesting program to watch. And it was just week after week that we kept watching it, and my cousin came in to watch, and we were just having fun. And then when the season ended, we went home. And then I went home and just researched it all, and it was really, really interesting. And then I turned to my cousin and went, I want to do that. And we then went out in the forest, gained the experience, and obviously because we didn't know much about Bigfoot then, we were looking for deer, researching deer, getting plaster of Paris, trail cameras, all sorts, and we ended up with a deer barking in front of us, and it was incredible. And it was then turned into then obviously this big expedition that was turned into a nightmare of just head explosions everywhere. And it's just yeah, it's just been an amazing journey.
It's been a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, being 14, obviously you don't drive yet, unless maybe you do, and we don't want to let people know that.
My dad my dad's a, a police officer, Carl.
No,
he,
okay, all
he
right,
won't let me do that.
all right. I didn't know that part. I'm not encouraging that, by the way. Um, so how do you get to all these places?
So, my nan, who is probably the person that does it all with me, obviously has a car. Now the scary thing is this forest was 15 minutes up the road from where I currently am sat.
15 minutes. So that's not that far.
No.
And this is something that like comes up a lot in this community. I think people believe that you have to go, you know, hundreds of miles away into the deepest, darkest forests to find this stuff. And I
Mm,
and that's not the case.
no, and this is the prime example of this forest that I'm in is 3 miles long.
3 miles long.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you find in this forest?
Do you have a week? So we found it started off with us just going just to see what we could find. Now we were in search of the big cat that where it might live, and we were walking up this kind of ridge, and my nan turned to me and went, "What's this on the floor?" And I gotta admit, we stood there for probably about 3 minutes in silence, and it was an 18-inch print in front of us.
18 inches.
Yeah, with toe-to-toe print.
Oh boy.
Now, it's hard to see from a photo, but you can see the outline of it. And we made a cast of it, and obviously I took the eDNA, which we'll go into later,
Mm,
and so that was probably the first thing that kind of just got us off into this investigation. And we were only meant to do 3 expeditions there before we changed forest. It ends up that we've been doing it for now about 9 weeks now. um,
wow.
and because there has been something every time we've gone, something new has appeared.
Wow.
Something new every time. Now, we have found tree structures where you've got one at the top with a stick, like probably only 50 centimeters off the ground, with a stone on one side and two sticks parallel on it, which is like something that you could trip over.
Yeah.
Then below, and you had to use a rope to get down there. You've got like a intertwined branch that was with then two sticks, and if I pulled one stick out, it would fling back. And I felt underneath, and it was spongy, so it's like bedding material.
Oh wow.
And then below, now this is just mind blowing, which I haven't told many people yet, is we found like a huge tree structure, and it was 15 feet tall. Okay,
Oh
now
boy.
now that's huge.
That's huge.
Now my cousin William, who's 10 years old, so just younger than me, and he was taking photos, right? And then Nam was up on the ridge, and I went together to say, "Look what we found." And we came home that night, and I was doing another podcast, and someone said online, "Is that Bigfoot?" I went, "No, it's a tree structure." I go and look. There's this big black shadow with ears in the back of it. Yeah. And it happens that William took it alone. And we go back there 2 days later to find out that it is a bit of a ridge. So this thing went on the ground. It was actually 20 feet in a tree.
Did you? Okay. Wow. I didn't even know all this.
No,
Um. Did Did anyone take a picture when they went back of that same spot and it wasn't there, was it?
nothing was
Kudos to you guys for that because
there.
this is a mistake that so many people make. They take a picture of something or they'll take a video of something and they'll say, "Oh, look, there's something there."
Mm,
And don't go back to take another photo to compare to see if it's still there. And
yeah.
then if it's possible to put a person near that to just gauge
We did
size.
a tripod instead of a person.
You did.
Yeah.
Hey, hey. Oh my gosh. He's destroying things right now. I don't know why he's freaking out, but sorry about that. I'm dog
Um,
sitting for my brother.
Right. And so after that, there's loads more we found, and we found a pile of scat. Now here in the UK, we know what scat is.
Yeah.
Everyone here knows what it is, and we have our deer, rabbit, fox, badger, your normal stuff. And we look at this and goes big bulls, three just bulls, and we go, holy crap! And I have a researcher here in the UK who's expert in it, and I send him a picture, and he comes back as that's baboon.
What?
And I go, why is there?
Baboon?
Like, yeah, and we'll link that later into in the DNA. Um, and I go, I don't know, I don't know what this is.
Baboon. Okay. Wow, I didn't know this part either.
And probably 5 minutes from this, was a deer carcass everywhere,
Really?
with the hair in one pile, bones in one pile.
Oh, Huck, get down, buddy. You're messing this all up. Stop. I've figures he's going to do this now. He doesn't normally do this. He's usually pretty mellow. Um, so okay, scat. That's baboon scat. Um,
or possible.
or possible baboon scat. Um, a torn up deer carcass.
Yep,
A giant 15-foot tree structure.
yep.
A strange shadowy figure in a tree. And foot and
And
foot.
I'll add this as well. There was about 15 to 20 indentations on a path above these tree structures. Um
15 to 20.
Also, we smell two horrible smells, and Nan described it as like when a cat wheezes in your garden. And I
Yes.
go, and I got out of them. Um, I will also say this. Right by the parking uh spaces, just inside the tree line. I don't know if you've seen Expedition Bigfoot, but there is exactly the same tree structure there.
Okay.
Exactly the same.
I have not watched. I watched the first season of Expedition
Mm,
Bigfoot. I haven't watched anything since. M- the thing about TV, right? What you'll learn too in this community, excuse me,
mm,
pardon me, is that when they make shows for TV, they are they're not always heavy on integrity, right? Because they
mm,
have to be
yeah.
entertaining and they have to be sensational.
Mm,
Um, that being said, the fact that they will bring people to this subject is
mm,
wonderful, right? So it did it
mm,
for you, and that to me that's the best thing, right? So
mm.
I'm not against them. I just think that there needs to be a little more
And
transparency about things.
I I I have just seen a question in chat, and it says did you put out trail cameras? And yes, I did.
You did.
I did.
Okay.
And we caught one image. I think it's a deer. Other people tell me it's dogman.
Okay. Well, you'll
I
get that. Yeah.
We did get an amazing picture of a badger though. That's
Okay.
nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but this tree, and I agree with you on that. Is with TV shows, they can sometimes for because they're earning money for it.
Yeah.
But with like my podcast, with this, you have nothing to gain from
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, why are you wasting your time telling a story which isn't um
One of the things that people don't understand about this, right, is like when you do this podcast thing or when you do YouTube stuff,
mm,
there's not money in it. Matter of fact, you're spending your own money
mm,
to fund your expeditions and your
yeah,
research and your travel and your
mm,
equipment and all that stuff. So yeah, there isn't much to be gained from it as far as that goes.
mm,
Um, Man, okay, so man, this you're just it's just so impressive that you have been able to get all I there are people who've been doing this for years, Daniel, for years, and they have never found a print, not one, right? Let
mm.
alone find some prints, take eDNA samples, and we'll get to that in a little while. Um, Also, to be able to see these massive tree structures,
Mm.
the possible bedding area.
And I will mention this. Not once, and I mean not once, have I said that it's Bigfoot. Not
Right,
once have I
right.
said it, because my mind will go to the most logical, and I can't find one. But again, with the eDNA and with everything, it's just starting to build a picture of, okay, so what is it? What is it causing um this to happen? And it's getting harder and harder for me to not say it's Bigfoot. I'll
That's
say that.
and you know, the that's the thing, right? You have to be objective.
Mm,
You have to be logical, and uh, you you can't be in love with it wanting it to be Bigfoot, right? As
yeah.
much as we all do, we love this subject. So
Mm,
the excitement of it possibly being a Sasquatch is
yeah.
great, but you have to remember to separate those emotions from your research.
Yeah.
Because if you get emotionally attached during your research, then it clouds your judgment on what you're doing, right? So,
Mm,
you're already on the right path with this stuff. Uh, it but with all that being said, when you have things that start to add up and there's not another real logical explanation,
mm,
there's not any animals that I know of in the forests in the UK or the United States that make tree structures.
yeah.
I don't know any. I certainly have never met people who go out into the middle of nowhere to make these giant
And and
sometimes
I'll,
intricate. Sorry, go ahead.
uh, I'll say this: the tree structures that we found, it takes these to do that.
Yeah,
Honestly, I tried to lift this log that was just I couldn't, and
yeah,
it was locked in. It takes these to do that.
yeah, you're right, it does. I've seen, some structures that are so intricate. We're talking minimum hundreds and hundreds of sticks interwoven in such a way that a human could do it, but
Mm,
number 1, I don't know why. Number 2, I don't know how it would take forever. Because I
yeah.
tried to just make a very small, like, woven area of sticks like that, and it took me like an hour, and it was this
Yeah.
big. This was like a 12-foot long tunnel of
Mm.
these things. So, I don't know
Wow.
how any person would have the time to do it. Um,
And the weird thing with this is, yes, this forest is 15 minutes away, and we need to remember that, and
mhm,
that this forest is used for people who are sat down. But the weird thing with this is there is nothing to gain by building this. And yes, we've seen the typical big dens, and that is obviously here humans,
mhm,
and I can say that. Um, but with the ones that we found, you have nothing to gain from it.
mm, exactly.
That's the things that's weird.
Yeah, yeah, it is, because w who what benefit does making these things have for anybody, you
Yeah,
know? Obviously, if it has a roof on it and it's got branches and leaves, it could be a shelter for somebody, it could be some primitive type of shelter for camping or hunting or whatever, but these are not like that.
no.
They're not like that. They're more like a very primitive hunting blind almost. At least that's what I see.
And there is one more thing
Yeah.
is there's like two parts to this forest. You have one side and you have the other, and you have the main human path. We tend to not use the human path, we tend to go off. One side of it, it is so thick, it's physically impossible for us to get in unless we have bodysuits to get in.
Mm,
But the weird thing is we made it round to the other side, and on that side was about that size bone, big, thick bone, and there was only two, no others, nothing around, but there was no hair, nothing, And
Did you
this was back.
check it for, did you check it for any teeth marks?
It was just kind of ripped. It was just like
Hmm,
really oddly placed. I'll say that. And the deer was about half hour away. So how can a bone get from there to there?
to
And it was
there,
pure white.
to there. Yeah, that's interesting, and you don't have, you guys don't have really many predators in the UK. I know that there's been some wolf DNA found over there
See,
recently.
we'll get into that later.
Okay, alright,
I'll
we'll
say
save that
that.
for alright, we'll save that for later. Um, it man, one of the things that gets me too is that people have constantly scoffed at the idea that these things exist in the UK. My
Yeah,
my question was why? Why not? Why couldn't they exist in the UK? If people openly think that the Yeti is real and the Yeti lives on that continent, right? How come they can't live in the UK? Or if the
yeah,
orang pendek or any of these other things, why couldn't they be in the UK? It makes
yeah.
no
And
sense.
I think the reason why not that they should have, but the reason why they have is because we don't have as much land as you guys do in America. And I'm saying um to everyone, maybe these creatures don't need as much land as what we think it is. We're
Yeah,
taking the because these big tree structures and these handprints are found in America in the middle of the forest doesn't mean that it can't be found here, which is why I've began researching actually let's start finding our own evidence. And I have just seen that question, and that was what one of my thoughts is, has someone been out there hunting? But the weird thing about this, there was no skin around there. There was nothing. It was two bones. And the deer looked like it had been killed or died of old age. Now, obviously, we've got badgers, foxes, pheasants, your normal kind of things that will scavenge. So, obviously, it's going to be taken.
sure.
But the weird thing is out of this forest is just fields, just fields everywhere, and that is a weird part. Is
Hmm.
that it's fields, and it's only very recently that the farmers put up a fence.
Okay.
Only very recently.
Okay, so then that means that certain animals probably wouldn't be able to get
No.
past that fence, correct?
Yeah. But
Okay,
if it's something like what we think it is,
right,
it will always find a way.
right, yeah,
Always. And
yeah,
it's only one field. It's not like the rest. It's one
one
field that
big
that's
field.
gone off. And obviously that's for sheep, cows, your your normal stuff that you'll
I'd
want.
be curious. Um, I'd be if you if I was you and it was possible, I would try to talk to the farmer who owns that property, see if he's had any trouble with something messing with the fence or even killing his sheep.
See, it's interesting you bring up that because up by this deer, my nan spotted this just weird clump of just fur, and was probably about 3 feet off the ground. Now, it looked like sheep fur. No sheep would have been in that forest because the it wasn't that that field wasn't cornered, just protected. So if the farmer had let sheep in that field, it would have gone wild and it would have just escaped.
Yeah.
So why is there sheep wool in that forest by a dead deer?
Hmm.
That's my question of. And the thing why I now kick myself is because I remembered that, but I saw the farmer. Why it didn't come to me?
It's
Um,
these things happen.
Yeah.
Your brain gets overwhelmed, and your senses get overwhelmed with everything that's going on.
Mm.
It's easy to forget that stuff, man. And you can always go back and ask, if you
Oh
ever
yeah,
if
definitely.
he's
Yeah.
around there. I'd be curious because these are things that happen here in the United States.
Mm.
They seem to be, um, y- you know, i- if there's a way to get an easy meal, chicken coops, they'll raid a chicken
Yeah.
coop. I mean, there's people who've seen them like leaving with chickens under their arms. Um,
And that goes back to the eDNA as well.
yeah, yeah. Um, can we talk about that now?
Go on then.
Let's just do it because
Yeah.
okay. So you took eDNA samples from these footprints.
Yep.
And you sent them, and you being so passionate about this and so driven to get an answer, you called, you emailed lab after lab after
Oh yeah.
lab, and nobody was willing to do it. And if they were, it was probably going to cost a ton of money,
Yeah.
right? And then finally you get a lab who says, we'll do it for you, and we'll do it for free. And
Yeah.
what did you get back?
So I got back this very, very official form to say, well, here you go. They gave me a free water bottle and all sorts to go. Well done on your find.
Which is
Now,
cool. I mean, that's
yeah,
cool,
oh
right?
yeah, and the manager that was updating me wouldn't tell me a word and said we kept saying we found some amazing stuff. I go, what is it? So if I read you all the animals we've got on it, we've got 15 different animals. I'm going to leave out the odd
Yeah,
ones.
sure.
So we have the pigeon, we have chicken,
Hmm.
we have pheasant,
Hmm.
deer, badger, humans, squirrels, and the eastern grey squirrel. Okay.
Okay.
Humans, we go straight to. Obviously, it's us. We haven't got straight to the DNA proper kits yet.
Hmm.
Um, and we should do very soon. Now we took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We took 5 different DNA samples.
Hmm.
Okay. We had one footprint on the game trail, on just a random game trail. Then we had the footprints that were up on the ridge that we casted, took eDNA from that. We had the footprint cast vegetation, so we took leaves out. We had from those footprints, we had loads of different other footprints,
Hmm.
and then we had that 15 to 20. We took eDNA from that.
Okay.
So the first one is not surprising, but surprising that they're in the area at that point. We have wild boar. Okay.
That's that's exciting.
Yeah. Now, I don't know whether they're around that area at that point. Now, we set apples up, we set all sorts of kind of food up and they didn't eat it. So I take it they would have moved on at that point.
Okay.
Then we had a lot of hit. We had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now in this forest we have a lot of dog walkers, right?
Hmm.
Now this came up as wolf or dog, and then there's another hit with wolf or domestic dog.
Okay.
So with the domestic dog hits in all of the DNA, and with the wolf/dog, you've only got 3 hits. Okay.
Okay.
They couldn't decipher whether it was dog or wolf.
Okay.
Immediately, I go to dog because there are loads of dogs
Makes more sense.
in the area,
Yeah.
but still caught my eye.
Yeah.
Of
Sure. I mean,
and
there's talk that the wolves were reintroduced into the UK at
mm,
some point. So
yeah,
it's possible,
yeah.
right?
Um, then we had the ones that just blows my mind, mate. Oh, every time I look at it. So we've got the first hit. of primates, we've got old world monkeys. Now, the first the two hits of them is in the footprint on the game trail and the actual footprints itself.
Okay.
Okay. Then, one that they didn't tell us about, which is a complete surprise to me, was grey apes, which was in the footprints and it was in the 15 to 20 prints on the path. All of that leads up to the two prints.
Okay.
Now, what I can say to that as well, which is even more surprising, they couldn't narrow the species down, mate.
They
They
couldn't.
they couldn't, and this is a world-renowned eDNA company that could not, for their life of them, narrow down whether it was gorilla, orangutan. They couldn't.
They couldn't do it. So, I told you guys like this is super super exciting, right? If an adult were to find this, it would be exciting. The fact that you
Yeah,
at 14 years old found this is just absolutely incredible. And that you only just started doing this.
yeah.
I mean, bravo to you. I want to say this too, real quick. I applaud your family for their support and
Thanks.
nurturing this passion. It, uh, that is so important. Like, if what happens is when there's exceptional parenting, you get exceptional children who grow to be exceptional adults. Okay, and that's what's going to happen here. I guarantee it.
Mhm.
Um, so kudos to them. But this is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Old World Monkey and Great Ape from the tracks that you took the eDNA from.
I don't even want to think about it. It's that shocking.
Yeah, this is really shocking. Uh, and not being able to narrow down the species just you
And
know,
I can say, I've done a little bit of research. Old world monkeys did originally live here in the UK,
mhm,
but they died out.
yep,
Now, this wasn't like we didn't dig 50 feet into the ground. This was topsoil, which means whatever made that print would have been that topsoil,
right.
which means,
It would have had to have come in contact with that
yeah,
topsoil recently, because the other part of eDNA is it erodes and in a pretty fast fashion,
yeah,
right? It doesn't stay very long.
mm,
It's notoriously hard to get good eDNA samples, which is again just another like you were meant to find these things. Like
yeah,
that's what it tells me. Um, it's something had to have been there recently.
yeah, and I don't want to admit it. So I'm every time I'm saying to Nan, is there's nothing here in the day, is there? I'm saying there's nothing here in the day to to make myself feel better. Now I don't know that, um, but I can say, and there is a question about water. Now I did take that into consideration that water was probably we have the Dirty Brook is where we live, and a stream that runs all the way through where we live and all in the fields, and it goes past this forest, which means that is a water source, which means
So,
whatever
okay,
it could get to.
eDNA in water if it's moving water, it stays 24 hours at just
Mm,
like at most. Um, if it's stagnant water, it can stay longer. So, like if it's a pond or like a puddle or something like that, then the eDNA can stay longer. In moving water, it does not stay long at all, like a
yeah,
day. That would be the approximate time period you'd be able to gather a viable sample from moving water.
and
Um,
the weather,
and I
um,
was going to say it rains there
yeah,
often. right?
Yeah, it definitely does. It's raining right now. Um, it's I think it was raining a few days before, but we had a dry spell, which means whatever it is had to be something very recent,
Yes.
and it happened to be that the we found this print on the first time we went there. So from the very first time, and I've never been to this forest before, but from the very first time I've been there, we found that print, and ever since we found something new every single day, and I mean every single day. There's been noises. There's been I. There's so much that goes on in that forest. I can't explain it. It's just
Does
ridiculous almost.
is there, I know you said the forest is 3 miles long. Is
Yep.
there any other forested area around that it could move between, like, the 3-mile forest and then
So we have probably quite a big forest. Now all this is in the Quantock Hills. So the Quantock
okay,
Hills, it surrounds loads of forest, right? This is a tiny, tiny little bit of it. And it's probably um 20 miles long,
okay.
probably 20, 30 miles long. It's quite big. Um and it's a little part, and there is a bigger forest. But what I did do, and what we did do, is go in that forest, and there was nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing to the scale. We could go, well, it could come in. No. Now, this forest I've used for gaining the experience, and I've been in there multiple times. We used to walk dogs in there, and nothing in there. But when you go probably 2 minutes up the road, it's littered in everything. And
It's so interesting.
mm,
It's so interesting, right? That you have a giant forest, that's, close by, that's still part of the same
mm, yeah,
forested area, and then you have this relatively small swath of forest, and in the big forest, you don't see anything. Now, obviously, you couldn't have gone through the whole of the 20-mile forest, but
and it's now the Quantock Hills is huge, and we've done pockets of it for our deer expedition to go and gain the experience. Now this forest is the big forest is only about 6 miles long, I would say, and then you got three, so it's a fraction. But the thing that divides that forest and that forest is a road. That is what divides it. So you've got one side and the other. Now, I don't know whether it can cross it. It's quite a high bush to cross. Now, I don't know. And to answer that question that's up there, I pulled one single hair out of that scat sample.
and
One single hair.
did you get that analyzed? Were you able to?
I've still got it, and I'm waiting to hear it. Me and Mike and Darby are currently talking about possibly sending that off.
Off to Derby?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to get that hair sample analyzed. I've got a researcher here in the UK which is gonna analyze a scat sample for me. So actually analyze it to confirm it. I don't really want to know.
Oh, this is so exciting, man. This is so exciting. Yeah, anything that you get, any eDNA or DNA samples, if you find any handprints or anything, all just take it all, and then
Yeah.
like Darby's a great resource for that.
Mm,
And obviously you have this lab that you've now
mm,
worked with that I'm sure
mm,
would be willing to help you in the future, just based on the
mm,
fact that number one, you're 14, number two, They know what you already found.
And I will tell you this: the scientist that was lead at this turned around and said, "Oh, SHG's found Bigfoot," as in this boy may have actually done it.
See, and that right there is nuts because most scientists will not
No,
ever admit to anything like that because
no,
it generally what they believe is in the scientific community, it will ruin their credibility as scientists because
yeah,
this can't possibly be real,
yeah.
right? Which
And
is
this
just
is and this is
foolish.
a sign. Now, the scientists that actually analysed this DNA didn't know anything about the investigation. The manager of it knew a bit of it. Um, there was one person who dealt with it all in Switzerland who knew a bit, but these scientists didn't actually know what I was looking for. So
Okay.
actually, they've kind of done themselves without me saying anything.
Right. You didn't say I'm
Nope,
out here searching for Bigfoot.
nope.
You just said, "Hey, I got some
And
eDNA samples."
I contacted them out of the blue, and then Dad took that over, and he sent pictures. He sent they knew we were on expeditions, but he didn't. They didn't know what we were looking for. Didn't know anything, and that's the really weird thing is that we didn't even bring it up.
Okay. Well, yeah, that man, it makes I wish I was there. I wish I was there. I wanna go in this forest so bad right now. I'm very jealous of you at the moment. Um, one of the things that you'll find when you continue to do this, most of us find, the longer you do it, the more questions you have, right?
You
It
think?
just gets it does. It gets more almost more confusing because so much of it doesn't make sense. Why, like right now, why would this giant thing, um, why would this thing stay in this small swath of forest and not this big
So I
area?
will. I'll take you back, and this shocked people. So, Carl, what do monkeys do? They climb trees.
Hmm.
So, in that picture with the tree structure and this thing like 20 feet up the tree,
Yeah.
who's to then say
Yeah. Well,
to
no,
kind of, but they wouldn't be all black? It doesn't make sense, and we've come out with like a billion questions. This has answered one question, and
yeah.
now we've opened just a ridiculous.
That's what happens. Pandora's box gets opened, and
Yeah,
but that's the fun of this. Is the mystery and trying to answer the next question and the next question and the next question, and how is it that you can be in the forest 50 yards from your car and you're not hearing or seeing anything, and you get back to your car and there's a giant handprint on your window. How's that possible?
it's
But it
it's
happens,
yeah,
right?
and it's I now we last went to the forest Saturday morning. That was the last time we went. We found another we found another print. Now yeah, yeah. And we tried to cast it. Now the ground was too wet at this point and there was too much vegetation, but at least I tried. Now I know I tried. Now this, funnily enough, was next to that big tree structure.
Uh, okay, so it's all coinciding with each other, right? You have the
Yeah.
prints, you have the structure, you have where the thing was in the tree, the scat. It's all in the same general area. Wow, that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. And you're right, Ryan. We are all jealous of Daniel at the moment. He is young and he is smart. Yes, he is. Al wants to know, Al's a good friend of mine. He's been doing this for a very long time also. He wants to know if there were any swamps by any of the tree structures.
Um, by the big one, there was a big muddy patch. I'll say that. Yeah,
Okay, so there's muddy patch there.
but
It,
it wasn't water. It
okay,
wasn't. It's not a forest for water, which is why I struggle on going. Hold on a minute. But when we got down to the bottom of this ridge, there was a clear opening to the fields to get right down to the brook.
okay. I'd love to
So
see pictures of this place. I mean, I'm
definitely, mate. Yeah,
I'm having, I'm obviously kind of trying to fill this in my mind what it looks like. It sounds very interesting.
it's quite. It's, it's not flat. I'll say that
Right.
it's not flat. You have one big bit at the beginning where we found the scat and the deer. Oh, and by the scat, this just have blown mind even more. Was a small teepee shaped tree structure. Another one. And if I took the middle out, it would all fall.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so like some of that stuff you have to be careful with because there can be people who go out and make these things. So,
Yeah.
and you know this, you understand
Yeah.
that some
Oh
you have to
yeah.
be objective. But like you said, when you put it all together, it's all in the same area. You have these things, the eDNA and all that stuff. It's hard not to lean to this.
Yeah.
Um, and I know that the guys from the Olympic Project, right, out in Shane and Chris Spencer, those guys, they're amazing what they do. They found those nests out there, and what they found was they found large nests. They also found small nests that looked like the little ones were trying to mimic what the big ones were doing. They weren't
Yes.
quite as good, but they were there. So if there's big tree structures, maybe there's little ones
Yeah.
who are trying their hand at making these things too, and they're making them smaller. Possible.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
it's
And
possible.
it is, yeah. And those mini, like, I could tell between the human ones
Hmm.
and that one by the scat. If I were to put my very finger on it, I would go, I highly doubt it. Now, this one up against the tree, it was a bent down branch with loads of just tiny sticks. Um, so it's not the normal thing that
Mm,
people would do.
mm.
Not saying that it can't. No, definitely. Um, but it's just strange. Now, I put a trail camera up there probably about 3 weeks ago now. And the weird thing is, there was nothing.
Nothing.
Apart from that one deer thing, nothing.
Yeah, that it's to 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 you now that seems weird. It
Mm,
won't seem weird in a while.
mm,
These things, for some reason, seem to avoid cameras at all costs.
mm,
And it seems to a lot of us like they have an ability to sense the infrared uh, light in game trail cameras or any other
mm.
camera because even when people catch things on them that are inconclusive. I mean, there's like a video once of a really hairy hand coming around from the backside and like messing, and it had fingers and fingernails, and it was
Wow.
very weird. Now we don't know if it was a hoax. It
Mm,
looked very real, but
mm.
it came from behind the camera. So whatever it was stayed out of the view of the camera.
It's
It's
weird.
like they know what these things do.
Mm,
Um, which, you know, these are the things that come up. This is the weird
yeah.
stuff that comes up and you
And
start going, How is this possible?"
uh and that comment that's just come up is my mum that's there as well. Well,
Your mom is Jem.
yeah, Jem, yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
mom.
The weird thing that I find is there is still a patch of forest on the other side that has not been explored.
Okay.
Now,
Are you
who's to
gonna go
say?
there?
Uh, I would say if I could, yeah, I would. Because if I have a chance of finding something, um,
Is it accessible?
it is, yeah, but you would need like leather stuff because
Oh, okay, this is that
it's
area that you were talking about earlier.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay.
it's on the other side. Now, it's not impossible. It's just very tight and we would need probably no gear to come in with us.
Okay.
Um, Now, who's to say that it's not living in there?
It very well could be. Makes
I
sense that it would be,
Yeah,
right? If it's
because
an area that's not very easily accessible.
which is my theory that goes where it's harder for humans, it's easier for the animals.
Yeah, it's really funny. I have been researching an area, in the state above me. I'm in Connecticut, and I have been researching a private parcel of land and homeowners. They have a house there, and then they have 48 acres, which is attached to another 17,000 acres of protected forest land. And um, where almost all the vocals come from, you can get through all of the forest up until this one point, and then it becomes impossible.
Mm,
Like, you'd need machines to get through it. You'd need, like, to tear all kinds of stuff down to make your way. It's just so thick.
mm,
It's rocky, it's swampy. I mean, it's impossible. I couldn't
mm,
do it. And where all the vocals come from are right beyond that. So, it's not a coincidence, right?
mm,
It makes total sense that they know
yeah.
we can't traverse these areas, which is why they go there.
And I can say this, I think whatever was there or is there in the forest, we caught it off on we caught it on surprise
Yes.
that and but I think now maybe it's brought itself back or it's left. Now, because things are starting to like there was one day where we're like, where do we go from here? Where do we and then we found the two tree structures. But I can say that that side, that little section of the forest, we hadn't been in before. So who's to say that it was there from
Yeah,
6,
it could have been
7,
there.
8 weeks ago?
Right.
Um, so I would say now we've done the investigating that we need to do. I am going back in 2 weeks. I'm taking some paranormal researchers up there, so they can do their job and they can have a look. Um, on my opinion of Bigfoot, I don't believe it's paranormal. I really don't, and that goes to logic. But I still have the open mind of it could possibly. And the reason why I don't go to it is because then it opens up a such big world. And if say with my podcast I do all cryptids, but I base my thing on Bigfoot. And but one more weird thing is when we stepped in that forest, we didn't have Bigfoot in our minds. So that's another factor that we weren't even thinking about Bigfoot. It's just all ridiculous.
Oh, it is. It is. I I it's oh boy. I'm gonna let you go on your journey, and
Mhm.
I don't want to influence you in any way because I
Mm.
think it's important for you to form your own opinions and theories, right? Um, there, it's a strange topic, this Bigfoot thing, and at times it can get very, very confusing and very strange.
Mm.
Which is, I think, why people s- do start to lean towards paranormal or
Mm. Yeah.
supernatural. I believe, this is what I think. I believe that they just have abilities to use a form of science that we don't understand very well, which
Mm.
makes it very easy for them to hide and reappear or appear play.
Mm.
I don't. uh, I think, and I'm very open-minded. I think that anything is possible because I've seen very strange things doing this.
Mm.
Um, but I think that they just have an ability or abilities that we don't understand. I don't think it's necessarily paranormal. I think it's maybe more um, um, like preternatural, which
Mm.
is not supernatural. It's not natural. It's kind of in between
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You know,
And yeah, I would say I agree with that. But some people then say that it's something completely different that is in portals and stuff like that. And who's to say
could be.
they could be right and we could be wrong. But what I'm saying is the most logical and scientific way is that, and it's like people with the paranormal side don't focus on the eDNA or stuff like that. They will focus on, and it's like the paranormal group that I do a lot of work with have changed their minds about what Bigfoot is and gone, actually, no, what you found isn't paranormal because
It,
it's physical evidence.
it points to natural evidence, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I lean to what I think, because
Mm.
it has to exist naturally in the natural world to leave things like DNA,
Yeah.
to
It
leave
needs to. Yeah.
things like scat, right? It
Mm.
has to.
And
Um, Go ahead.
for we haven't got Bigfoot scat yet, which makes me think it's not. But to find Bigfoot scat is just horrendous. Like it would just be another discovery that comes with it.
Yeah, right. I think if you Bigfoot scat would probably be one of those things where you look at it and you go, "Oh my god, like that poor animal." It would have to be so big. I'm not trying to be
Mm.
gross, but these things are huge, right? They're massive creatures.
Yeah.
On average, 7 feet tall on average,
Mm.
at least here.
And to say, but with these primate DNA coming back, we have no wild primates here. I can say that. Apart from us,
Right.
we have no primates here. And to come back as primate DNA, I go, hold on a minute. That
Yeah.
if there is primates here, well, the scat would make sense. I go then, well, there are no monkeys here because monkeys would show themselves quite easily. I would be here talking to you if a monkey came out in front of me. Um, but it makes you think and go, hold on a minute. If it was a monkey, it wouldn't build tree structures. It wouldn't hide from you. It wouldn't cast a black shadow. It wouldn't do that. Whether
Eh,
it's really hard.
I get it. I get it. I know, and it can be very frustrating at times.
Mm.
Here's my advice. Don't don't get caught up in the frustration of it.
Mm,
Do it and have fun,
yeah.
right? Do it and have fun.
Mm,
That was why I started doing this, because it was fun. I enjoyed
yeah.
it. I wanted to see one. I wanted to find where they lived. I wanted to see these
Mm,
structures. I want all these things, right? And that's the fun part, is going out, being in the woods. Like, that's so fun to be out there. I
yeah.
love being out in the woods. Um, so keep your focus on that.
Mm.
And you'll get information as you go, and
And
then you can, dissect it however you need to.
and when you say you want to see one, a lot of people do. Personally, I don't, and not because I'm scared of them. Well, I would be, but that ain't the reason. The reason is, if I come face to face with one, what am I going to gain from that? A photo that is,
At most.
yeah. And so I go, okay, if I was actually going to prove that this was real, let's actually now find the DNA for it. Let's find the scientific evidence that we need to then prove it. Not then come in front and then have more questions. And that is the only reason why I don't want to see one. And yes, I would be scared if I saw one. Do not get me wrong on that. But it's just something that I've thought about and gone. I'm not going to gain anything by if one standing in front of me. I couldn't say Bigfoot stand there whilst I take hair samples. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, "Hey, pal, just stand still for a few
Yeah,
minutes. I just gotta take a little blood, and this is
yeah.
not gonna take long." And you're right. It's a very difficult thing. People have encounters, people see them, people take photos of supposed Sasquatch, and what happens? They get ridiculed. People say,
Yeah.
"That's not real," or "You didn't see that, that didn't happen,
Mm,
you're crazy." So I understand why you feel that way, I do.
mm.
And plus it is scary. When you come face to face with something that's not supposed to exist, right? That's what you've been taught your whole life. It's not supposed to
Yeah.
exist. It's not real. It's gigantic.
Mm.
It's covered in hair, and it looks like what a monster is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It
It's
is.
not
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing to go through that, so I understand
Mm.
why you don't want to. Um, I'm a little bit crazy, just, a little bit. Uh, I was telling the guys, in the expedition this weekend, I was saying, uh, I don't have any problem being the guy that it stays away from the rest of the camp in a tent by himself, so that one of these things maybe comes, right? Because it's gonna be less likely to come towards all the cameras and the lights and the thermals.
And
And
my only thing with when I go out in the forest is if I can run out my just run faster than my partner, I'll be absolutely fine.
Your poor
If
Nan.
yeah, yeah, so it's like, "Nan, I can outrun you,
It's
absolutely fine."
that's you're good. Oh, Nan, I'm sorry, Nan, that stinks for you. That's funny. Your I wanna say your mom was in here, and she said that, you have some trouble with the UK educational system, which I think is,
Yeah.
really just, I suffered in school for a long time. I suffered, I have ADD, really bad. I also have retention issues, like with
Mhm.
retaining information, and then the way that I don't learn the same way that they teach in school.
Say I'm say I'm year 10 now, and there was an issue with my school that is one of those that the building isn't safe, and it's being knocked down and blah blah blah. And year 10s were moved down to a college which is half hour away, and And even last year, I was literally on like very very part time. So currently now I'm doing odd lessons via a robot, um, and
Well,
so on
you
and so on. And
yeah,
I am doing that until January, and we'll see how it goes from there.
you do it however you need to do it.
Mm,
That's the most important thing. Whatever however it is that you feel comfortable and safe and that you can get the most out of it, that's what you
mm,
do. Um, there's no one way to learn, and that's what the
yeah,
problem I think with public schools too is that they they don't have the ability to hire enough people to be able to teach multiple different ways to different students at the same time.
yeah,
That's difficult, right?
yeah.
There should be more money going into public schools so that these things can
Mm,
happen, but this is the world we live in.
mm.
But yeah, I know the frustration. I know what it's like, and I don't know what it's like to have my school be torn down.
Oh,
That's
it's just been a nightmare, Carl.
crazy.
It's just been where we've had, and it's still happening now. We've got port cabins coming in. They're building new buildings, and then they're oh, it's just been ridiculous.
And you had COVID before that.
Yep, and we've had strike days. We've had so my school life's been great.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry, buddy. That stinks, man. That stinks. Um, well, listen, uh, I am so excited for you. I really am. You are so far ahead of where so many people are at, like even now. Um, y- y- the the wherewithal at 14 years old to know to okay, I'm going to cast these tracks. I'm going to try to get eDNA from these. I'm going to catalog all the data in this area, the tree structures, there's a river nearby. I'm going to catalog the local wildlife and fauna because all of that is you can learn so much just from the animals in the area, the normal natural animals, right? But the wherewithal at 14 to know to do all these things is so impressive to me. Um, on top of that, having I just feel like it was meant to be.
If
Like,
I tell you something else that I'm doing alongside this as well,
tell me.
it's a new, it's all to do with Bigfoot. It's a project called Little Feet,
Okay.
where I'm getting children involved, and I'm
Oh,
st- I'm starting events, and I'm doing all sorts. So Saturday, 18th of November, in a few weeks, I've got probably 9 different guests coming from all over the UK. I've got people coming from near Scotland, people down by Cornwall, all coming to a cafe in Burnham in Somerset, and we have it's in a hall. I've got an auditorium that is being set up. I've got kids activities being set up. I've got the people to organize it. I've got all sorts, and it's yeah. So that's my alongside project, and eventually, me and Dad may be coming over to Ohio and that next year, to go and meet Amy and go to a convention with Amy and Mike both there, and eventually we're thinking about bringing them over here.
this is just amazing, Daniel. As if you didn't impress me enough already. Now you're going to get other kids involved, and you got people coming in to help you. Uh, that's incredible, man. You really are like I'm just so impressed. I really am. And not only am I impressed with your drive and your passion for this, you are a such a nice young man. You are. You're a joy to talk to. We've talked now through chat for a few days, and from the moment we talked, I told Mike instantly. I said, "I love this kid. Like I love this kid." And Mike knew immediately when he said to me, he goes, I have this kid. He was all excited. He's like, I have this kid. He's 14. He's from the UK, and you got to check him out." And I said, he was telling me, and I go, How do I find him? I'd love to have him on the show." And Mike's like, "Oh, you're gonna want him on the show." And he was right. And this was spectacular, Daniel. I if there's anything I can ever do, and I'm nobody, right? I'm just a schmuck over here in the United States who likes to go out in the woods and look for Bigfoot like anybody else. Mike and those guys they are top tier
Yeah.
investigators. They are some of the best minds in this community. Alex, Mike, um, Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Matt Larson is in the group.
Oh yeah.
He's what an amazing dude he is.
You got Amy as well. You got
Amy, Christy.
oh yeah.
God, there's so many people in that group. I can't even think of all of them now.
Um
But
if I got my phone here, if I just bring it up. Um
you have at your disposal um, a wealth of knowledge and experience.
so we've got Lauren, Aaron, Emily, Heather, Jesse, Joe, Christy, Mark, Matt, Mike, Sean, Seth, Shane, Steve, loads of them.
It's crazy, yeah. Shane Corson, Seth Breedlove. Is
Oh
it
yeah.
Is it Emily Floor?
Let's have a look. Yes.
Yeah, she's awesome, dude. She's so awesome. She's been on my show before. She's great. And Lauren's amazing. You were on her show. I
Oh
watched
yeah.
you on that.
I
That was a
was,
great
yeah.
episode. She's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, every one of the people in that group. You have
Mm,
such amazing folks at your disposal.
mm.
um, use it. Use it. If you
Yeah.
have questions, if
Yeah.
if there's anything you need that any of us can help you with, do
Mm,
not hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for.
yeah.
None of us will ever, be like upset that you have questions or you're not bothering us. Please, this makes us excited that there's somebody like you out there that's doing this, and especially Lauren. Lauren's
Yeah.
whole thing like, Lauren's thing is getting the younger generations involved.
Yeah.
So, that's somebody who, I'm
And
sure
it was literally I messaged Amy one day and went, "How do you start an event?" And now a month later, I'm now doing all this. It's just amazing. And even Amy was the first interview I ever did. Um,
really,
and since then, I think we've contacted probably every 2 days or so. And it's like we're just catching up during half term because it's half term for us next week, and just yeah.
it's great, dude. It's so cool. I'm so happy for you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It's
I
alright.
mean that. I'm excited beyond belief for you. The findings are absolutely amazing. Um, I I want to. We're gonna stay in contact.
Oh
I'll
yeah, definitely, mate.
we'll
Yeah.
definitely message back and forth. I'll message you. And I would love to have you back on again.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
definitely.
a few months down the road, see what
Mhm.
else has happened and transpired since now, because I just imagine that there's probably
Mm.
going to be more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
my my next plan now is to figure out. I've started to map where all these sightings are and where it's heading. I'm now that's my main thing. Where is this thing heading? Because maybe we can follow it and then get to a new forest. Get to yeah.
That's great. Yeah, you
Mhm.
is I wonder if oh God, it's slipping my mind now because I have such terrible short term memory, but. the the gentleman that runs the Bigfoot mapping project.
Um,
I don't know. Is he part of the group? He might be. He should be, because that's a guy right there who, he's got anytime that anyone puts any sighting or whatever up, it goes on the Bigfoot mapping project. But
do you know her last name?
oh God, I can't even think right now, man. I'm terrible with this stuff.
If you let me know after.
I will. I'll let you know. I'll find out. I'll text Alex because Alex is really good buddies with him. But that's a great resource to have him because he gets reports that sometimes don't get put up for a while.
Wow.
And so you'll be able to communicate with him and find out, has there been any reports in the UK that, aren't on the map? And he'll be
Yeah.
able to
Oh,
tell
yeah. That'd be
you,
amazing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and and it's like I spoke with a guy, William Morris, yesterday, for my podcast, and he was just amazing. But his story, he's been keeping for 35 or 38 years.
Wow.
And that's what here in the UK, that's part of my project to make sure that doesn't happen here. To try and build a community to try and go, right, we are here, and try and maybe we'll get a lot more from that. Because the more evidence I have, more evidence you guys have, the further we're gonna get.
Absolutely. You're right. There's a guess, right? There's a
Mm,
guess that 80% of Bigfoot encounters don't get reported,
yeah,
right? So imagine if they did, how much
yeah,
more data we would have. So it's important to do those things, to give people a safe space to be able to talk about encounters, or what they've heard, what they've seen, what they've come across.
mm,
People get nervous. They don't want to talk about it because they don't want ridicule. They don't want to
no.
be made fun of. They don't want their job to find out, or and think they're
and and
crazy.
and say here in the UK, obviously, I reckon there's a lot more than there is. I think there's a lot more that people are saying out loud,
Mm.
and now I've built a name for myself here with me being on I don't know how many national papers. I can't even count anymore. Wow, I can't even count. Um,
Just a
and
small flex right there.
Um, and now I've built a name for myself here.
Yes.
Um, People are gonna know me, and maybe then it comes more out a bit more over here in the UK. I
Yep.
think there's more than what we're looking at now.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I just don't think people say it.
Yeah, I believe that too, 100%. I've always said I don't understand why people have this idea that this is not real over there,
Mm,
that
yeah,
it exists there. I'm sure it does. And
and uh, since this eDNA come through, I've come up with a theory of, let's say, Bigfoot, like you guys do in America, isn't what we have here. Let's say these monkeys didn't die out for a second
mhm.
and kind of evolved.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah,
Who's to
exactly.
then say we don't have our own and
Right.
go, hold on, we did have primates here, and go,
It had to, yeah,
we
because
may have
over
our own.
this is the argument that I make all the time,
Yeah.
is that any animal that survives in the wild, they all evolve over generations, because
Mm,
the world changes, their world changes, their homes, us encroaching on them. That means that their defense mechanisms need to change, their hunting techniques need to change, their
mm,
ability to hide and camouflage needs to get better,
mm,
right? And naturally, that's what happens. They evolve to fit in their environment better and better and better.
yeah.
So reasons to say that if they didn't all die out, they would have to fit into this environment, in this
There you
changing
go.
world, in a way different way than they did hundreds or thousands of years ago.
Mm, there you go.
You're a smart
It's
kid. You are a smart kid, man.
Thanks.
You are. Um, okay, let's I know it's getting late over there. It's about to be 9:30. I don't wanna keep you too long. I like to do about an hour and a half anyway, but,
It's all right.
I
Um,
am
there was one question
yeah, go for it.
in the chat um for my podcast, and also
Oh, yeah.
I would love you to have on mine as well.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, anytime, man.
Yeah.
Whenever you want me on there, I'll be on
And
there.
it's called Mythical Legends podcast. If I go decide,
Mythical Legends, and it's on Spotify,
it's
correct?
on Spotify now, on Amazon. I hear. I
Really?
Yeah. Honestly, I'll say, when you search it up, I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
Amazing. This guy's on
Um,
Amazon.
and so if I search up Mythical Legends podcast,
There you go. I Mike sent me the link, and I was listening to a few shows the other day. It's a great show. You do a wonderful job, man, you do.
thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. Um, Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Like I said, please go support Daniel in this endeavor. It's so important, I think, to let him, make sure he knows that people are behind him. This can be a tricky community, and the more good people that stand up and get behind people like Daniel, the better off we're going to be in the future here. And like I said, if there's ever anything I can do for you, you say the word and I'll do it, man. Anything. uh
Mm.
and so thank you so much for being on. Tell your parents thank you, your dad. We talked a little bit the other
Someone
day.
has just said the link.
Oh, and she's going to get the link and put it in the chat.
Tell you what. Um, yeah.
She's
Um,
Hope is good at that. She'll put the link in the chat, and then people can just literally go into Hope, can you do me a huge favor actually? Can you put that link in the comments section after the video's done? Because if it's only in the
there it is.
chat, then it won't be up there until tomorrow because it takes like a day for the whole chat to load again. So can you throw that up in the comments, please? Pretty please. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, buddy. Thank you so much for being on. Like I said, anything you need, you let me know, and we
Oh
will
yeah,
stay in
definitely. Yeah.
touch. And tell your parents, like I said, your nan, your mom, your dad, your cousins, whoever's
Say
helping
my
you.
say my dad and my nan have gone to Florida, Orlando. They've
Oh,
literally just landed now. Um, I don't think you know how many times I've been.
yeah, you've been to Florida?
Let's just say I think my last time was my 15th time, and I'm
Oh my
41.
God,
We go, and it's only Florida, Orlando. We go, so Universal Studios and Disney
nice.
and stuff like that. And
I'm
Dad's gone over.
43, and if I'm going to Florida, it's to go to Disney and to Universal. I'm not going anywhere else. That's where
No,
I'm
no,
going. They're the
yeah.
best places ever.
And Dad's gone for Halloween Horror Nights. So, and they,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
So you've probably been to the Harry Potter thing.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
mate,
I'm
yeah.
so jealous. I've not been.
At some point, I will send you my wand collection, mate.
Send me the one. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Huge.
Oh,
I
then
love Harry Potter.
we need to set up a separate meeting about that, mate. Because
Yeah, we will.
we
I'm
have
a huge Potter nerd.
every autograph under the sun. I'll say that.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So on a side hobby that me and Dad do, we collect autographs. We like to keep very very busy, so we collect autographs. I've got Ralph Fiennes, I've got Daniel Radcliffe, I've got Robin Coltrane, I've got all
Do
sorts.
you have Emma?
Yeah.
Oh, you lucky boy, you. Yeah, we'll have to do it. We'll have to talk about Harry Potter another time. I love it. It's one of my
Yeah, will do.
favorite books and movies ever. So
Oh, is
good.
it?
It's
Wow.
so good. Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you so much, Daniel. Guys, I am not going to be here this weekend. I will be up in New Hampshire with a group of just amazing, amazing researchers, investigators, minds in this community. And hopefully, we have some really exciting stuff. I'm going to film absolutely everything I can. And we won't have signal, so I won't be able to go live. When I get back, I will do my best to get it up as soon as possible. Daniel, we are also going to try at some point. We're going to have to come down a little bit, excuse me, from the mountain, just to get to like some of the other areas. And I guess we can pick up a signal like quickly. Mike's plan was to try to do a full video chat with all of us and you.
Oh,
So,
mate, that'd be
y-
amazing.
yeah. So if we can, you can expect that this weekend.
This weekend. Okay. If you could get Mike to let me know uh, only an ish time, just so I know to be
Yeah.
there.
Okay. I'll
That'd be
I'll
amazing.
I'll talk to him and I'll see if he can figure out a time. I would guess it'd probably be Saturday sometime, but I'll talk to him and find out and I'll let you
Yep.
know.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thank you for being here.
Cool.
Thank you guys for watching and all your support. Take care. Have a wonderful night. I will see you next week. Goodbye, guys.